All right, what up, world? Want to jump here on the NBA standings? We do have around a week and a half left until the NBA play-in tournament, and then a couple days we're gonna have the NBA playoffs. Kick around May 20th, somewhere in that range, going in. Um, Within a week and a half left until that's gonna happen. Each team pretty much has around 5 to 6 more games left on their schedule. So we're getting to the nitty and gritty on the almost final standings of the Western and Eastern Conference. But then, I mean, you do have the play-in tournament for the seventh and eighth seed. So, wanted to jump in real quick on both the East and West and kind of give my take on the past week or so. What's been kind of covering and going on. Let me start off with the Western Conference going first. So, the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz for the last week or so, they've been going back and forth, flip flopping from the first seed to the second seed. Now, it looks like Phoenix is actually losing in a blowout to the Atlanta Hawks as of right now. So, kudos to the Atlanta Hawks. We'll cover them in a second. But how I expect this to turn out, I fully expect the Utah Jazz to capture that number one seed. I do expect the Phoenix Suns to end up number two. Those two are pretty much locked in, either Utah or Phoenix. Now, with the third and fourth seed, this is going to be flip flop with the Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers. I fully expect the LA Clippers to lock up that third seed overall. So, number one, I do got the Jazz, two Phoenix Suns, three the Clippers, what I'm expecting to happen when the playoffs start. At number four, I do expect the Denver Nuggets to stay there. At five, I actually expect the LA Lakers to take on that fifth seed on that role. I fully expect the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers match up in a series together in the first round matchup. That's most ideal to happen. And no, the LA Lakers are not going to be in the play-in tournament. I don't want to hear that case. That's not going to happen. Most championship winning teams, they're usually around top one to top three seed. Rarely and barely have we ever seen a fourth through a sixth seed. I mean, you had the Houston Rockets, and I believe it was 95 or so. Now, they had the sixth seed on the road. I mean, last season, we had the Miami Heat with the fifth seed. They didn't win the championship, they got to the finals. The New York Knicks with the eighth seed back into, I believe it was 99. And then there's a couple other instances where some teams in the fifth or sixth have won a championship. But I fully expect the LA Lakers to take on that fifth seed, and they're going to be on the road for the whole playoffs. But not going to jump the gun there. At the sixth seed, I fully expect the Portland Trailblazers. I think that would be a pretty low key and clean matchup with the LA Clippers and the Blazers in a first round matchup. I would like to see that matchup go down with. At seventh and eighth, I would like to see the Dallas Mavericks go against the Phoenix Suns, and I would like to see the Golden State Warriors take on the eighth seed to go against the Utah Jazz. Somewhere in that mix, that would be most ideal as a preference of my side of things, but who knows about it? The seventh and eighth seed, ninth and 10th, are going to be in that play-in tournament. I don't expect the Mavericks or the Lakers to part. Actually, my bad. I don't expect the Blazers or the Lakers to partake in that. I fully expect the Mavericks, Warriors, Grizzlies, and Spurs, but who knows about it? LeBron James is out for the next two games. The Lakers have been on a losing streak, but they squeaked out that last win against the Denver Nuggets, and Anthony Davis had that iconic block. But LeBron will be out against the LA Clippers, and then I believe they go against I think it may be the Milwaukee Bucks coming up. One of them. But LeBron should be back for the last 3 games or so in the season. So, um, LA, you gotta keep an eye on them, man. Not good news. What's been happening here? Let's see. Clippers been low key. The Portland Trailblazers have been losing a kind of a lot of games within the last 2 weeks. So they got to pick it up on their range. The Warriors have been getting hot. Steph Curry has been going ham. I believe he's tied with Bradley Beal for the league leader in points. He may have just passed him. I'm not sure, but I know it's titty on that. It's pretty close. I fully expect the Warriors to be in the playoffs. Actually, let me backtrack. I fully expect them to be in the play-in tournament. For them to make the playoffs, ideally, I would like to see them. I've always stated in the offseason and middle of the season that I don't. I expect them to finish around the ninth or 10th seed, but who knows about that? In the NBA's best interest, of course, they want Steph Curry and the Warriors. And who knows, when you got the Warriors against the Jazz in the first round, or even the Phoenix Suns, I mean, you can't count Steph Curry out and Draymond Green, a veteran team in the playoffs. But let's see, the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Wolves, they're out as expected. Um, the New Orleans Pelicans are trying to make a last push these last couple games to take on that 10th seed in the play-in tournament. Lonzo Ball has been going crazy, man. And I believe ever since LaMelo Ball was in the league, and he's seen not only the progression of LaMelo, but um, how he translated into the game so smoothly and a dominant. And his mentality, LaMelo Ball was to score, kick on the fast break, and not only from that, but he has huge confidence in being a star player, and that resembles it. So I think this is pitching off onto Lonzo Ball, which is good to see. I mean, I believe Lonzo Ball is shooting high 30% from 3-point range, and he had a 30-point outing with the clutch game winner. So I've always stated the Pelicans need to keep Lonzo Ball. You got to invest in him. So this is actually paying dues. And speaking of paying dues, he's trying to get his contract. Pretty much a big payday coming up this offseason. So that's another reason. The Grizzlies are nice, man, but I'm not too invested. They need to help out Ja Morant next offseason. So the West is pretty much similar as I expect it to be in that mix. Let's see here. In the Eastern Conference, uh, Philly looks like they're in a runaway with that number one seed as the Brooklyn Nets folded to the Milwaukee Bucks back-to-back games. And this is going to be an interesting second-round matchup potentially with the Nets and the Bucks. The Bucks do have the defense, the height, and the length. But then again, James Harden is not back yet, so that's going to be another scary, assignment for the Bucks. We did see Drew Holiday state that he believes he's the defensive player of the year. So Drew Holiday is pretty much going to have to try to lock up James Harden, or maybe even Kyrie Irving in that mix. But I'd like to see that second round matchup. That would be pretty nice. Now, ideally, what I would like to see a first round matchup is the Nets and the Miami Heat. If we're going to see the Brooklyn Nets go in the playoffs, go against the Heat the first round, maybe the Bucks, then the 76ers, then the Lakers, or somewhere in that mix, then, that's going to wear down a team for the Brooklyn Nets who don't have a dominant alpha presence, let alone incoherent, and they have rotations every night, pretty much changing the starting lineup every single night from Steve Nash. So that could be a hinder to the Brooklyn Nets, and I expect that to happen. But Philadelphia's going to capture the number one seed. Nets expect to be at 2. The Bucks at 3. So expect that first round matchup with the Nets and the Bucks. Looks like the New York Knicks have the 4th seed on lock, but the Atlanta Hawks are about to beat the Phoenix Suns, so they're coming for it. Who knows? Who knows what happens? Ideally, the Boston Celtics, they want to get a top 4, top 5 seed because you don't want to see the Bucks in the first round and then potentially run into the Brooklyn Nets in the second round. You don't want that to happen. So the Celtics and the Heat, they got to go for a 4th or 5th seed. They got to push all they can to do so. Let's see here. I mean, a Bucks and Celtics first round matchup, that would be a smooth series. It would be a smooth one. But I don't want to see a Knicks against the Atlanta Hawks 4th and 5th seed first round matchup. That's a waste. I need to see the Knicks go against either the Celtics or the Miami Heat. I fully expect with the 8th seed, it's either going to come down to me with either the Charlotte Hornets or the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are a 10 seed. They've won, I believe, 10 out of the last 12, somewhere in that mix. But Russell Westbrook is averaging a triple-double this season, and he's going ballistic. So that's good to see finally the Wizards crank it up. Because most of us expected the Wizards to be a 6th through an 8th seed. Some had a 9th, somewhere in that mix, but I actually had the Wizards beginning the season finishing as a 7th seed, so that could potentially happen within this play-in tournament. But yeah, the 1st through 7th seeds, those teams will be in the playoffs. I fully expect the 8th seed, it's either going to be the Wizards or the Charlotte Hornets. So we'll have to see a little more within there. The Raptors, they're done with, man. They got to blow it up. Kyle Lowry, he's gonna leave in free agency. He has to. They have to rebuild. The Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine cannot be a number one option. It was a good move that he brought in Vucevic. Somewhat of a good move, but they're desperate. But he's 30 years of age. I'm not too crazy about that. I'm not going to jump in too much into them. But yeah, I think the main things to keep your eye on is going to be the Washington Wizards, how they finish off this season. And actually, they are playing as of right now against the Bucks. So it looks like the Bucks may pull off that win. They're up by 7. The Knicks have been a steamrolling team, a young team. Kudos to Julius Randle, who's going to win Most Improved Player. Let's see here. Nets been struggling. The Bucks are getting hot. Yeah, overall, call my thoughts on this, but we'll get more in depth when we get into the play-in tournament.